Hello, good day, and welcome to the August Russia event. I am your host, Regena of Empowered Nurturers. I'm also an empowerment coach for women, a core personality educator, and the founder of Empowered Nurturers. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Sama Morningstar, and Sama will give us a quick introduction of herself and what she's passionate about at this time. Sama, welcome.
Hi, Ida. Thank you so much.
Thank
Um,
you.
yes, so I am a womb healing specialist, this professionally. And personally, I'm very passionate about life and femininity and the power of our womanhood and femininity to regenerate life and a life on the planet. And for our own personal lives as well as globally. I'm really passionate about this because I feel the great need of shifting our awareness as humans to a more balanced place, both as individuals and collectively, where we are honoring and celebrating life and and respecting the ecology of life and the balance of life and generating new life instead of what we seem to do a lot of these days, which is to suppress things that generate life and actually kill things a lot. It seems to be
Yes.
a favorite human pastime.
Yes, it's sad, but that seemed to be the direction that we are heading in, and we do need more folks like you doing what you're doing right now to get us kind of opening our awareness again in this area. So, Summer, could you expand a little bit about what um, your work is like and who you serve dealing with the womb work?
Yes, my work is very holistic in nature in that I don't just work with one aspect
Hmm.
of the womb. You know, a lot of people, when you think of uh, the womb, you think of the uterus and the physical abilities to have a baby
Right.
that women have in us. And I do work with the physical aspects and the biology of the womb, but I see those. So, say a woman has, a typical womb ailment like fibroids, for example.
Hmm.
What I look at with that woman is not only the physical things that she may do or change to heal that physical ailment, but also the emotional things, patterns, and residue from past traumas, unresolved um, things from the past that she might be holding in her womb on an emotional level, as well as spiritual blockages or energetic blockages or misalignments that may be also at, at the root cause of the physical ailment. And so I work with all of those levels, help a woman to discover and work with all of those areas in her whole life. Because I feel like I really feel like the womb is like the canary in the coal mine, that it's the messenger of overall imbalances in our lives. And so many women are suffering from physical ailments in the womb, from anywhere from infertility to, you know, major pain and dysfunction, um, around their menstrual cycles to actual cancer and things like that. And I feel like our wombs are just crying out uh, to heal the imbalance of attention in our lives, where
Mhm.
we only seem to value very masculine activities, very masculine ways of being, and we devalue and um, and sort of sweep under the rug anything truly feminine. And that's just a in general social structure, and then not to mention um, personal uh, individual traumas or
Mhm.
uh, difficulties that a woman may have. There's when you look at the statistics of sexual assault and sexual abuse and that against women, it's appalling that our species is so demeaning
Yes.
towards women and mistreats our women. It's amazing that we're still alive as a species, given that women are are the ones that give birth to new new babies, and then as a species that we treat women so poorly. It's
Yeah.
amazing we're still alive.
Awesome. Yeah, I really think we do need to even have this sort of education for our young ladies even before they get to the stage where they are going into adulthood. We teach them all the all the academic stuff, and of course from a masculine point of view, how to get on in the world, but the value of our uh, feminine traits, the value of what it takes to bring birth anything, including another human, into this life. I think we diminish that so much, and I'm so happy that you are stepping into this area.
Yes, yes,
Thank you.
it's true. Yeah, thank you. It's very true that we do diminish it, and like you said, with young girls, um, I just was privileged to be part of a ceremony that honored two young teenage women for having their first menstrual cycle.
Mm,
And that was so beautiful in and of itself, because that doesn't happen often enough.
no.
Uh, for me, it was like this hidden thing and shameful thing when that happened for women. But it's been shown with research that cultures that honor young women's first menstruation, first
Mhm.
period, fertile period in her life, with some kind of ceremonial or festivities or something like that, those cultures are less warlike and more peaceful than any other culture that doesn't do that. And so there's
Mm.
tribal studies of different tribes that show that those tribes, there's a definite significant correlation. So what that was a powerful thing to witness and be a part of. But the thing that touched me the most was that there was a younger girl, maybe 6 or 7 years old, in participating in that ceremony, sitting next to me, and her mother was right there as well. And as she was seeing these young women they were receiving a necklace from an elder who was honoring them for becoming a woman. And this little girl says to her mom, "Are they women now?" And just that was so moving, because as little girls, we didn't get to, most of us didn't get to see that transition
No.
honored, celebrated, and we didn't have, this little girl knows these older girls and has looked up to them for years, and now gets to look forward to having her, her ceremony where she becomes a woman. And that
Yes.
is so sadly lacking in our cultural structures. And it's such a detriment, when you look at the statistics of self-esteem in young women, for example. it's right around puberty that young women's self-esteem plummets,
Mm-hmm. That's
completely
true.
plummets. And that's also right when their full power as a woman starts to come forward, and their dreams for their life starts to come forward. And
Mm-hmm.
yet, because of all this shame around menstruation, I feel that's when our self-esteem just bottoms
Yeah.
out. And so I'm very passionate about turning this around, because like I said, I'm amazed that we're still alive as a species with the way that we have been treating this power that we
Yes.
have to create new life.
Yes. And another thing, uh, in addition to, let's say, the ceremony that you talked about, what came to mind was just recently, I had a visit with a male a male relative who I haven't seen for years, and he was for I don't know some reason it came to I guess I asked him about his kids, and he said he had um, preteens, and one of the teenager became a young lady when he had custody. So he had shared custody with his ex-wife, and he said he had no idea what to do. He had absolutely no idea what to do. So that's another thing. I think we, just the way we teach our daughters that what's to come, we should also, fathers and older men should also know about what a woman goes through and how to honor them. So I thought that was amazing, because a lot of times you don't think about that, like, oh, a woman is going to always be around to assist a young girl, but that is not necessarily so in this, especially in the way our lives are going now with parenting. You know what I mean?
Yes, and that's part of what I what I'm encouraging it, and in my work wanting to create, is more of a sense of community. And this movement towards isolated small family units in our society, I feel, is one of the culprits in the challenges that we face, where everyone is so isolated and no one gets to know their neighbors, and no one
Mm-hmm.
develop, and people don't develop sort of more tribal village type
Right.
communities around themselves. And so I'm very passionate about that. And it's interesting that you mentioned about young men and men in general learning about this. Um, I had a friend who told me a story of participating in a Native American tradition that still goes on in a tribe in California near where I live, where they where they do celebrate a young woman's for becoming a woman. And the way they do it is they do sort of a earth stone baking ceremony for her, like kind of like a sauna or a sweat lodge, only
Mm.
done with hot stones in the sun. So they sort of dig an indentation in the ground and put stones out in the sun, and then put a blanket down, and she lays in the sun to really absorb that warmth and that
Mhm.
heat for a period of time. That's one thing, and that's a very therapeutic thing anyway. Any woman knows that having heat uh, when she's having her period can be very therapeutic and healing.
Mhm.
And then and that's a ceremonial thing. And then what they do is they have a race between her and all the young men. And all the
Mm.
young men know that they're to let her win the race. So that's teaching the young men to honor her, at the same time as it's teaching her to feel empowered, that she could get
Wow.
away from anyone she needed to run from. But it's also giving the young men this you know idea
Mhm.
to help the young women out,
Yes.
and to
Yes.
respect her now in a new way, and in a fun way. It didn't
Mhm.
have to be lecture or anything like that. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
okay, the tradition. We know this is what we do. And there's an internal symbolism with that. You
Yes.
support a young woman now because it's
Yes.
important. She's a powerful person and we need to support her.
Yes. This is awesome. Like the first time I heard you talk about it is it's like wow. I mean like some of the obvious things that we should be focusing on. Like Western culture has like basically stripped it away from us, and we need to return to things like this. And it's so enlightening when you get to hear some of the things that you share. It's really awesome. So Summer, I know when this came to you, there must have been, or there might have been, I should say, some resistance. Like, did you have like a stuck place in moving forward with your purpose, knowing that this was your purpose and passion in life? Um, if so, tell us a little bit about it, or another time when there was a period in your life when you felt really stuck and how you got to move through it.
Well, actually, I think I felt pretty stuck fairly recently, um, as I've been moving into this very clear focus in
Mm-hmm.
my work professionally. I've been a massage therapist for many years and a yoga instructor, yoga therapy teacher for many years, and as I was looking to expand my business online, I was focusing in a much more general way. And it was hard for me to narrow down what it was that I was doing. I can help anyone heal whatever they're dealing with. I have all these skills, right? I'm sure that's a common thing. And
Yes.
so when I realized that I was to narrow in on this work with women and particularly around the womb, there was this powerful um, passion that came up inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I was still really relying on my massage therapy, and I was working at a resort that I really liked going there. It's a hot springs resort, and hot springs there, and my relationship to the land there had been very nurturing for me in developing this work with the womb. But the management there was coming from a perspective that just did not agree with me and who I was. And it was actually starting to make me sick
Mm-hmm.
going there. I didn't feel confident enough in my work focus. I didn't feel
Sorry about that.
confident to leave that job
Mm-hmm.
and really dive into my work or get some other kind of job because it seemed really perfect for me. Um, and yet it was emotionally very challenging for me, and I was getting very grouchy, which that's not the place that I need to be coming from, and so some of the things that helped me to shift that for myself was taking time for myself, taking time to nurture my own creativity, and returning to gratitude for what was working.
Mm-hmm.
uh, but then also I got let go from that position. Like
Oh
I,
wow.
I never really I got to the point where I let go of the attitudes and approaches that were that were making it hard for me to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I had finally broken through that myself on the inside,
Mm-hmm.
and found creative ways to be there in a way that felt more in alignment with what I was doing. But the universe had other plans. The universe says, okay, you got the lesson from being here, because it made me really dig deep and find a greater well of gratitude. I mean, the people, the way they were doing things was so onerous to me. It was so disturbing to me, the way they were treating me, the people that
Mm-hmm.
worked there, and it was so disturbing to me that I had to dig deep to find gratitude and find my inner well of creativity to face it. When I finally did that, um, the universe said, okay, don't need to be there anymore. And opened up a whole nother realm of possibilities of people that I can work with and be with. And
Wow.
so there's, and that tends to be pretty common with me, is when I'm stuck,
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to be stuck. And so I do my inner work, and whatever that takes, however I need to work with myself, my own attitudes, my own belief systems.
Mm-hmm.
And I use all of my practices are designed at helping a person to, and because I needed those myself to transform my own inner environment so that my health can be good. Otherwise I get sick.
Wow.
So, and so
Yes.
I need to be in good health in order to be able to help others to do the same. And so I just put all the things that I know to do into practice, and then that reflects in an external change, whether that's that job falls away, or the circumstance changes, or the person I'm dealing with, they change in reflection to the changes I'm making on the inside.
Awesome. Awesome. So, with your practice, help the ladies out here today. What would be like when they're feeling stuck? What would be an immediate, let's say, one or two things that they can go to get themselves at least moving in the right direction, getting unstuck?
Well, I always bring people that I work with back to the very basic source of all life, and that is our breath.
Mm.
So simply stopping in whatever situation we're in, whatever we're feeling anything about, wherever we're feeling stuck, and taking at least 3 deep, full breaths for a moment.
Mm. I can feel it now.
It immediately starts
Yeah.
change our perspective and create space within us to see a different way. It awakens our creativity, or it awakens our inner senses. It makes us aware of hidden things inside of us that we weren't looking at, or we didn't see. And it helps us to approach the situation with a greater sense of calm and groundedness and centeredness. So it's just such a basic thing, and we so often forget to breathe, and we get our life, the amount of life force that we're living with diminishes with every day that we forget to breathe deeply.
Wow. That's awesome. Summer, I told you it was going to be a short interview, but you your work is so deep. Um, but I do thank you for being here, for sharing with us. And should the ladies want to continue getting this great information from you, or want to work with you, where can they find you?
They can go to my website at somamorningstar.com. And on that first page, they'll see quite a number of testimonials of women that have worked with me, sharing about how it's helped them, and an option to apply for a session.
Awesome, awesome. So, ladies, thank you so much for joining me today on August Rush Out, talking about our passion and how to get stuck if you find yourself in that place. And Sama, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom with us today.
Thank you, Ida.
Thank you. So ladies, join us again for another interview, and we shall continue our discussion with passion. For now, this is your host, Ida Regena, saying bye and pursue your passion and purpose with vigor and with all the energy that you can muster. Have a good day. Bye-bye for now.